you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man, we're back.
Hello.
We're back in the crib, man. Welcome back to Salt Lake City. Jake,
Hello.
are you happy to be home?
Yeah, it's nice, admittedly.
Admittedly, it is nice. Back off the road. LA for 2 weeks was spectacular. But we are back. Phil Mickelson is not back. Pooty is not back. How about this shit going on in Ukraine, dude?
Bro, it's not good.
It's a little nutty. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up. We have got to talk about buying treadmills. Are treadmills anything other than a drying rack?
I don't know. I don't know.
We'll see. I'll tell you about the treadmill. Jake's fat because he eats Hot Pockets.
Yeah.
And the Utah Jazz have won 8 of 9 games, which, my friends, in case you were curious, is where we're going to start this fine program this morning. A massive weekend of success and domination.
Yeah.
For the Utah Jazz, as they absolutely came out rolling, and they swept 2 games, Jake, that frankly I think were really important. They beat the Dallas Mavericks on Friday night. Mm-hmm. They beat the Phoenix Suns in Phoenix yesterday to start this road trip. To me, Jake, these are 2 monumental wins for this club.
Yeah, I think it says a lot. I think that the Jazz are, are trying to create this push that we talked about last week, where you're, if you watched the show last week, or you can go back and look, we specifically talked about how this team would ideally go 19-5 to end the year. I mean, that's what your goal is as a team. That's what you're shooting for. And when I look at what this team has done over the last month or so, February and the end of January. The end of January sucked. You lost, was that 5 in a row, I think it was, and everybody was down and saying, that the season was basically over, and then you've bounced back here with a nice run. You've won 8 of your last 9, and you're looking nice, if you will. So I think that this team is bouncing back well. That said, again, the other side of it is, you're going to be in a place where now you're going to be rested as well. So, again, you played Friday, then you played Sunday. Now you're going to be off until Wednesday. I got news for you. Being off for 3 days or 2 days, really, I guess that'd be 2 full days, and then obviously most of your game day. That's huge for an NBA team. So I think, these were 2 big wins. I think, last night specifically against Phoenix, I thought that was kind of an insane game. At one point the Jazz were down a pretty good amount. Then the Suns were down by, I think, 9 with 5 minutes to go. And they, the Jazz end up winning by 4. And everyone wants to say, well, Jay Crowder threw the game away. But I don't really think it was all on Jay Crowder, the classic sports situation. Hey, a guy at the end of the game didn't make a play, so it's all his fault. I don't really think that's how really the game played out.
But come on, that is, listen, man, it is shocking. It was a bad mistake. He straight up threw the ball in the stands. Isn't that why he's not a Jazz man anymore?
I guess.
For all the people who were pissed off. Yeah. This is exactly why Jay Crowder doesn't play for the Utah Jazz anymore.
Yeah, I think that Jay Crowder has been great as a Phoenix Sun. I think that was an awful play, a terrible mistake. In the moment, could you say, well, if he just gets the ball to Book's got about 2 seconds to make something happen.
And Book had been really hot the last 5 minutes of the game.
You like your chances, right? You like your chances. But that said, I think what's more important to talk about here is what officials are letting go and what they're not letting go. Meaning that all night long they were allowing Rudy and Ayton to kind of push each other around and play a pretty physical game, And I thought that Daniel House brought a lot of physicality as well to Devin Booker. I think it was very notable. I think a lot of people are talking about that Royce O'Neal seemingly has been passed by House, which is kind of crazy how quickly that happened. But I think he's earned it, And I think as long as he can make the 3 at a reasonable rate, he's going to be out there a lot. So, I look at these 2 wins and I say, okay, these are 2 huge wins. And by the way, another small note, I think if you're a Jazz fan, is losing to that Laker team was kind of a shock to the system on Wednesday because they have looked really, really bad. So after you lost that game to bounce back and win these 2, I think, kind of tells you where the team's at right now.
Yeah, and I also think that the Daniel House thing is significant. We've talked a lot about Royce O'Neal on this show. We have advocated for months and months to sit Royce O'Neal down. Now, before Daniel House was on this team, I don't know that was really an option because you didn't have something better than Royce O'Neal. Now I think certainly Daniel House showed you that he can play multiple positions or defend multiple positions on the floor. He's much better than Royce in the pick and roll. I think he is a guy that fights through the screen instead of just defaulting under it. And I think he showed you that he can body up guys. And I think that's exactly what Royce O'Neal's lost the ability to do now. And I also think Daniel House hit several big threes for the Jazz. That three out of the corner late in the game was an absolute difference maker. Mm-hmm. So while I don't think he locked down any one player, I absolutely think he made them a better defensive club in the last few minutes of that game. And I don't think there's any question that defense has become the priority for this team. I don't think there's any doubt that you look at Don's game, he has stepped up defensively. You look at the way that he is being much more tenacious. He is being much more aggressive defensively. Now, you're still getting lapses out of Bojan Bogdanovic. Frankly, the miscommunication in the paint is shocking from the Jazz on a lot of Devin Booker was having his way in the mid-range because nobody was stepping up. And Hassan Whiteside, don't get me wrong, I think Hassan played a very good game yesterday, but he also has to be better defensively. Mm-hmm. He's got to step up and take that mid-range shot because that's where the Utah Jazz are vulnerable. So I think you can clean these things up, but make no mistake about it. This team's won 89 games. They are red hot. I thought the fact that the Dallas Mavericks couldn't find a way to exploit Rudy Gobert in that pick and roll switch, and that you had him one-on-one with Luka Doncic. And again, Luka's never going to be confused for Ja Morant when it comes to quickness. But I don't know what Luka was doing. And I say, hey, Rudy Gobert's the Defensive Player of the Year 3 times over for a reason. He absolutely shut down Luka Doncic in that one-on-one. Mm-hmm. The couple of block shots that we saw were pivotal in winning that game. This is what Utah Jazz basketball should look like.
Yeah, I think the intensity is definitely ramped up for this team. I think that they understand the situation they're in. And again, I just want to I want to keep talking about this. So when you look at standings and you look at where everybody is at, you know, the Jazz don't have endless breathing room. You know, you're in a place where you've only got a 3-game cushion to the Mavericks, I believe it is. And the problem is, you're a full 3 games behind the Grizzlies. So the conversation isn't, well, if they go 19-5, let's say, can they get a higher seed? That's not really what this team's trying to do. This team is trying to just stay right where they are in the 4 spot. Again, you're what is this, 3.5 games ahead of Dallas and Denver, and you're a full 3 games behind Memphis. So you've got a good cushion, but you've also got a big cushion to get to the next spot. So I think if this team can just be consistent, bring this type of energy and effort defensively, you're going to see good things are going to happen on the offensive end. And if that happens, and this team, again, shoots 40% from 3, you're going to be tough to beat.
But I think this is something where you can now see the value and the importance of Donovan Mitchell. Mm-hmm. When you look at the way that this team, and I know we've talked about this ad nauseum, you look at the way this team is constructed, and it really has been, for most of the last 3 years, centered around Rudy Gobert. And his defense is phenomenal. But what you've seen over the last month of the season, especially since Donovan returned from the concussion, this team is very squarely built on Donovan Mitchell on the floor now, philosophically speaking. You're not going to be able to remake this roster. You're not going to be able to inject energy on the wings until the offseason. Mm-hmm. But you can very clearly see the focal point of this basketball team is Donovan Mitchell now. The high pick and roll has become less and less. And I agree with you. I think one of the interesting trends that if you're a Jazz fan, you need to watch, how much is Rudy Gobert getting away with? Because I think there's no doubt his screens are questionable at best. I think we saw multiple times in the paint, especially in the last 5 minutes, he holds guys down on the floor by their uniform. And he was, I mean, the TV broadcast showed it 3 times, where he had, Mikal Bridges one time, DeAndre Ayton, he had DeAndre Ayton by the the waistline of his pants. And there was no call made. If they're not going to blow the whistle there, Rudy's going to dominate. And I think we saw that. And I think that is something that the Jazz desperately need. Mm-hmm. They need Rudy to be able to play physical. They need him to be able to get away with those screens on top, roll to the basket, and then, do what you got to do to hold a guy on down on the floor. Because if you're able to keep Mikal Bridges on the floor, you're going to win that battle most of the time. Mikal's advantage is he's able to get up over you. He's got really, really, really dominating length. But when you're holding his jersey and his shorts and he can't jump, that's going to make it difficult for him to use that length. So as much as Rudy Gobert bitches and moans at the officials, he is getting a lot of benefit of the doubt here.
Well, and I think if you're the Jazz, you want him to abuse that. You're basically saying, hey, push the envelope as far as you can push it. Again, we're not trying to commit flagrant fouls or anything, but I think that, hold guys as much as you can. I think, when you say, I want people to be real clear what you mean by his screens are questionable at best. What that means is not that they're not good screens. It's the legality of the screen. Hey, a lot of the time he is moving a little bit, or he is, sticking his hips out and making it even harder for the guy to go over the screen. Like Rudy, from that standpoint, is doing a good job. I think what will be really interesting to see is just simply how it's officiated, because all the things that he is doing, the holding of the shorts, the way he sets the screen, he got away all night long with pushing guys in the back. Like, they weren't calling any of that stuff. And so that is a big part of Rudy's game, no doubt. The problem will be, will they allow that in the playoffs? Will that be officiated differently in the playoffs? Because that changes the dynamic of a game. So if I was Quinn Snyder, I'd be saying to Rudy, hey, abuse this until they start blowing the whistle. Why wouldn't you? That's what I'd be doing.
If you can get away with setting the screen the way that Rudy is setting the screen, which is, as you talked about, he's never set. Mm-hmm. He is constantly moving. He is using his elbows. He is using his hips.
Drop that mother.
Yeah, he is leaning. It's a great way to set a screen in the NBA because it makes it very difficult to get around that. I think the bigger thing is when you're looking at the way that he is operating in the paint. Rudy Gobert right now is getting the favor of the officials. And we talk a lot about his relationship with the officials. We talk a lot about his incessant complaining, and we saw that yesterday again. He is getting calls, and he is still complaining about the call, even though they gave him the call.
Yeah.
But he is getting away with, to your point, the forearm shiv in the back of DeAndre Ayton that led to the tip dunk. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you don't call that.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, the baseline official's standing right there, so it's not a thing where they don't see it. And this is kind of my point. The official sees that that's going on.
Yeah.
But isn't blowing the whistle. And so my point here in all of this is, if you're a Jazz fan, you're thrilled with that. Hey, if you're not going to blow the whistle, we're going to continue doing that all night long.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we?
Yes.
And I think that if you're anybody playing the Utah Jazz, there's going to have to be a strategy of getting in Rudy's head. That's what I think. If I'm playing the Jazz, that's probably where I'm starting. I'm saying, okay, we need to come out and we need to be physical with Rudy. We need to show him that, yes, sure, he can push guys around, but we're going to push back. And I think last night, and this has been storied through DeAndre Ayton's career so far, that he's not a tough guy, that he's on the softer side of big men. And I think that, when you're playing, notice what happens when Rudy goes up against, let's say, Joel or Jokic. Most of the time, there's some flagrants involved in that game. Most of the time, there's some pushing, some shoving, some really physical, basketball that pushes the envelope of getting ejected, In this game last night, that was never the case. It was one-sided. Rudy was dominating physically, and he had his way. And I think that's what contributes to being able to hold the Suns off and being able to get all those extra putbacks. And because think about it, you won by 4 points.
Yeah.
If Rudy doesn't get a putback here, a putback there, that's the difference in this game. And that's why the officiating on that front matters so much. But let me be clear, I love that Rudy is doing these things. I love that the willingness to, push guys around and really be physical down there is starting to come out a little bit. They're going to need that if they have any chance in the postseason.
Well, and I also think, very clearly, these are 2 big wins.
Yeah.
I just don't know if you're
There's
a
no way
Jazz
around
fan.
it.
Yeah, I would be rejoicing.
Yeah.
And that you won it with Donovan Mitchell leading the front.
Mm-hmm.
I think is huge, and I think that's where this team will thrive. We get so caught up in defense. We get so caught up in, all these minutia conversations. But at the end of the day, you have to score more than your opponent scores. And I know that seems idiotic and simplistic. This team at times gets plotting and methodical offensively.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 10 games, we haven't seen that.
And again, I just want to point out, with the schedule, just so we're all on the same page, hear me say this, I really don't think this team should lose again until March 14th against Milwaukee. That's the first game where I'm like, okay, that's Milwaukee. That's the champions. They're a damn good team. That's going to be a tough matchup for anybody, including the Jazz.
There are some tough stretches, though, and I don't want to make it seem like this is an easy schedule because, frankly, it's not. If you look at what's ahead here, you're going to have a tough time. Houston's been hit or miss. You should beat Houston, right?
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans is very good right now. New Orleans, now the Lakers have not been very good, but they blew the Lakers out at Crypto.com Arena. Crypto Staples Center. Going to OKC, the Thunder have given the Jazz fits. At Dallas, again, next Monday, a week from today, that's a massive game.
And I think that's one, again, if you're a Jazz fan who can't watch every single night, that's when I'd be circling on the calendar to watch. That is a playoff preview.
Yes.
We just talked about how you beat Dallas at home on Friday. So let's see what you can do on the road.
And, obviously you come back against Portland.
Should be a win.
Portland, I'm telling you now, Portland, even without Dame and CJ, anyway, that should be a win.
Mm-hmm.
You have some landmines in there. You have some really athletic teams that have given you trouble in recent times. But what I'm telling you is I would be paying very close attention to the way this team plays consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And more trends are emerging on this Utah Jazz team. Mike Conley's inability to finish in the paint is becoming very...
It's a thing.
It's a thing. It's
That's
absolutely
all I'm gonna say.
a
It's
thing.
a thing. It's something to watch.
Yeah, Mike Conley's inability to get into the paint and finish is troubling. I think you're looking at Daniel House potentially taking over for Royce O'Neal. I think you're looking at Hassan Whiteside. Watch Hassan Whiteside very closely because when Hassan Whiteside is on, he's engaged, he's energetic, he's playing well, he's running hard. They're a much better team.
Mm-hmm.
The Utah Jazz are a much better team. I am by no means telling you that Hassan Whiteside is win or lose for this team, but what I'm telling you is he makes a significant difference when he is active and energetic on defense.
Yeah.
Anything he gives you offensively is again, just butter on your toast, right? It's all good. When he's ready to go defensively, they're a much better team. And again, I would just tell you that this team is going to go as Don's going to go. Donovan Mitchell is the single most important player on this team.
Mm-hmm.
They have won 8 of 9 because he is playing well. It was a little concerning that he was out for that long stretch with whatever that was, a foot or ankle. He got stepped on, and then he clearly landed awkwardly.
Mm-hmm.
That was a little concerning. Now, a lot of people tell you that ankle injuries, the severity that he had, they're going to take time. They're going to take time to heal, and it's not a month. LeBron will tell you it took him a full year to get over that. So I just think that's something to watch.
Yeah.
But bask in this glory. They've won 8 of 9. They've just beaten 2 contenders, one of them the Phoenix Suns.
Mm-hmm.
And I see several comments where, hey, Chris Paul wasn't playing. It doesn't matter. That's the Phoenix Suns in Phoenix. That's the team that's in front of you.
Yeah.
And they are a very good team. With or without, that's a very good team. The negatives here, the things I'd be worried about, Mike Conley certainly. Fourth quarter stability is a big problem for this team. And especially in tight moments, the Jazz have not been able to support I mean, they had at one point a 10-point lead with a minute left to play.
Yeah.
And they're giving up like that open three to Devin Booker. How is Devin Booker ever that wide open?
No idea.
How is that even a possibility?
Well, and there was a clear strategy to double book most of the night. I mean, you could see them, biasing their defense towards him. And he still found a way to get open late in the game. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
And he, by the way,
yeah,
we had a huge fight yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I almost wanted to sit on your face and burn a deuce, but I didn't.
Keep it real.
Yeah, I mean, I was keeping it real. I don't know why I just said that. But we argued over Devin Booker.
Let's settle this right now.
Like, it was blood sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I went all Wolverine and my talons or whatever bone shit comes out of his hands. Mine came out. Right? Like, mine came out.
Right.
I'm telling you, the narrative that Devin Booker isn't a big game player is ridiculous. Did he shoot well yesterday? No, he did not. Do the stats say he played a good game? Yes, they do. Was Devin Booker at his best yesterday? Not close. Not close. And I think what you're seeing is Devin Booker is having to be the entire team right now. With Chris Paul out, water's wet, Chris Paul's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
With Chris Paul out, Devin Booker's having to carry a significantly heavier load.
Yep.
And I think what you're seeing is
free ESPN ads are playing again. Come on.
They just running wild, man. They out here wilding.
Yeah.
He was 12 of 24 and 4 of 8 from 3.
It's not a bad game.
But he didn't shoot well. He scored 30 points. Dev was really good late. D-Book, wet like I'm booked, was very good. There was a Jazz fan narrative that, Daniel House locked him down. No, he didn't. Devin Booker, hey, man, all I'll say is I thought he played really well in the fourth quarter. But the third quarter, he missed a lot of shots.
Yeah, my biggest complaint with Book is very simple. It is that when I don't feel like right now, like with his reputation as a player, right? You can say, hey, Devin Booker made big shots, at the end of the game to win this game or that game for his team. Does Devin Booker fill up the stat sheet? Is Devin Booker one of the best scorers in the league? Is Devin Booker a force to be reckoned with in the West? 100%. Is Devin Booker a guy that will beat you if you give him an open look with 2 seconds left if his teammate could pass it to him? Yes. 100% yes.
Yep.
But I want to see him make that big shot in the postseason. I want that for him. I want him to have the Kevin Durant foot on the line moment where everybody knew that ball was going in, but his toe is so damn big that it wasn't a 3, it was a 2. I want Book to get those kind of opportunities to really cement himself as one of the absolute top 5 players in the league. That's where I feel like Book is at. It's not, there's no question that Book can score with the best of them or fill up a stat sheet, or he's someone that you got to scheme and plan for. There's no doubt about any of that. But just in my opinion, I think he has work to do when it comes to the clutch factor. When it comes to, hey, there's 2 minutes left and you're down 5, your team needs absolute buckets right now. That's what I want him to work on. And the only way you can work on that is by playing big games, missing big shots, and then taking more big shots.
But
this is what it is.
I would simply say, and obviously this is the regular season, who's been the most clutch player in the NBA this year?
Yeah, sure. I would say DeMar DeRozan's been more clutch than Devin Booker. DeMar DeRozan has 10 game-winning shots this year.
Yeah. Hey, man.
I mean,
I won't disagree with you.
I don't even think that it's close that DeMar DeRozan is the most clutch player in the league.
And listen, I want you to preach the gospel of DeMar.
Yeah.
I mean, he should be in the MVP conversation. He's not.
Mm-hmm.
But Devin Booker, I would agree with you that Book needs to be better in the postseason. I think he needs to be. But I mean, and by the way, we were arguing over this, and your little punk ass was saying, "Well, he's not good in postseason. He doesn't score points. He's never scored a point. He's never hit a shot in the postseason.
Said that.
Devin Booker sucks."
Never said that.
And I went on to tell you, well, I think he's a career, what is he, 24-something points a game? Well, in the postseason, he scores about 28 points a game, 27.7.
Cool.
The biggest issue for Devin Booker in the postseason, he doesn't make his threes. He shoots 27% from three in the postseason. Got to be better than that.
So here's the thing. Book is capable of doing what the greats have done in the postseason. He is capable of torturing you. He is capable of putting up 40. Like I think it was I was looking last night, I can't remember. Like in the Clippers series, I think he had a 47-point performance, and he puts up these big performances. But it's like, okay, that was game 2. Where are we at in game 6 and game 7? We remember the 14-point game, and so again,
there's no doubt he was a no-show in the postseason last year, especially in the finals.
But in his defense, I think on the other side of the conversation, it really was his first postseason. It really was his first run through it was his first NBA Finals run through the postseason. So I think there's a lot you learn in that. Like last night, while I was watching him torture Daniel House, because I do think he was messing with him, I do think he got several tic-tac calls from the officials just by simply allowing House to come up and pressure him and then swinging.
But you cannot. I don't understand why defenders in this league, and it happened last night in the Golden State game.
Yeah.
Stop putting your arm out in front of you when you're playing Steph Curry, Chris Paul, Devin Booker.
Listen, this has been going on since Kobe.
When you do this, when you're defending a guy and you're like this, he's going to swing through. You're going to hit his arm. They're going to blow the whistle.
A plus B equals you're an idiot.
The rule clearly states. Yeah, the rule clearly states bent forearm to the lower back or hip region is legal. Why are you doing this?
Oh, what a loser.
I don't understand.
And then you get upset when the official blows the whistle. So my point just is I think that Book is one of the best players in the game. I think he's a great scorer. I think he can do everything for you. But I think he has work to do on his legacy. I think he's got work to do on really ratcheting up that I'm going to kill you in the postseason mentality, like the greats in the game have done.
But by the way, your little boner boy, Kevin Durant.
Your little boner boy. What am I supposed to say to that? Like,
what you want me to say to that?
What am I supposed to say to that?
Your guy, Kevin Durant. He is somebody right now that's at a real important moment in his career, I think.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at now, I don't know how many people saw the news, but the city of New York essentially has said after March 7th, which I think is a week from today, Kyrie Irving can play home games.
But there is a question. There's one caveat with that people are concerned about.
It's caveat, please.
Caveats, please. That is for the public, that lifting of vaccine mandates or whatever. The private sector mandate has not been lifted yet, and there's concern that won't be lifted and that will still hold Kyrie back.
I don't think so. Again, and maybe I just have small little testicles. I don't know. But
dude.
You show me the guy that's got the balls to walk in and hand the Brooklyn Nets a fine.
This is a code 10 abort.
After you lift public COVID restrictions, and you're like, nah, fuck you, Kyrie, you can't play. You're going to sit your ass at home.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe fuck yourself.
They're not, get out of here. Like, if you're going to lift restrictions, he's going to play.
Yeah.
And in my mind, we're being a little ridiculous with it, but it is what it is. I think if
fucking America.
Yeah, if they get him back,
yeah.
If they get KD, Kyrie, and Curry playing together, I'm telling you, they're the best team in the East.
Yeah, Seth Curry is he's that guy that'll come off the bench and be a problem.
But by the way, fat ass who's not so fat
anymore.
Fat ass. James Harden.
Fat.
Yeah, James Harden.
Fat.
He's actually balling out in Philly.
Yeah, it's been 2 games.
Well,
3 games.
but did you notice what his presence has done?
Mm-hmm.
It has
allowed
allowed
more space.
Yeah, it allowed Joel Embiid to operate.
That dynamic is what Donovan Mitchell doesn't have.
Exactly right.
That dynamic between James Harden and Joel is what Donovan doesn't have. And I really hope this summer that gets addressed, because I think if Donovan just simply had more space to work with. I mean, literally last night, his crossover game is filthy right now. I mean, he got Book, he got several guys. He got Mikal Bridges with it. Like, he got several guys from the Suns with that crossover. And I just think that if they could find this summer, if they could find some balance on the offensive end with another guy you have to respect offensively, I think that'd be phenomenal for his game.
But dude, Buckets O'Neal.
Sorry if you're offended by that.
Anyway,
No.
my point
No,
is
not Buckets O'Neal. Buckets O'Bench. Okay. Thank you.
Buckets O bench.
Yeah, thank you.
Somebody get that word to Bowler. Buckets O bench. Anyway, the point is, I think there's a lot. The Lakers are an absolute disaster. I mean, when is the last time we can say the Lakers didn't make a trade because they didn't want to spend more money?
Whatever.
Think about that. They didn't make the John Wall trade because they didn't want to spend more money.
Yeah.
And it's killing them. I mean, it's absolutely killing them. And I think LeBron is showing you that he has got a ton left in the tank. They got embarrassed by New Orleans last night again in Los Angeles.
Genie Bus walked out.
But fucking LeBron was incredible.
Yeah.
Like he again, I really need to learn to go to bed, but whatever. Again last night, I'm watching him play.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know how he's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those things where, like, if it were baseball, we'd be saying he's on steroids. Like, I'm serious. He is, last night, LeBron James, 36 minutes, 32 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Like, 13 to 23. He actually went 5 of 5 from the free throw line.
Line of Kane and B12.
I don't know how he's doing it because, by the way, they really got nothing from nobody else. Like, they got Carmelo Anthony is the only guy scoring off of the bench for the Lakers. I look at the way Russ is playing right now. The guy cannot hit water from a boat.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
16 points, 0 of 2 from 3, 5 of 15 from the floor. 6 of his 16 were from the free throw line.
15.
They were, but seriously, think about that. You score 16 points. He shot so poorly that 6 of his points were from the free throw line.
Dude.
I mean, I don't know what they do. They've tried to change the lineup. They started Trevor Ariza. Like, and the shocking thing is they're awful defensively.
You're so fucked.
Yeah, like, it's not that they can't score. That's not even the biggest issue. They're terrible defensively.
After the street closed Davis.
And this is why I say, how did the Jazz lose to the Lakers?
Embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
I don't know. And by the way, if speaking of fat ass, if Zion Williamson would come back and play basketball, CJ McCollum looks like he has been there his entire life.
Yeah.
That dude is just
Dude, I'm
smooth.
telling you, when you can score the way he can score, it doesn't matter what jersey you're wearing. You're going to get buckets.
8 of 15, 4 of 7 from 3, 22 points.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's not even like it's not a thing.
I'm for real.
Yeah. Seriously. And this is why I say Zion Williamson, and we took a lot of heat. We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, I guess it was now, about whether Zion Williamson was the biggest bust in the NBA.
Fact.
I'm telling you, they have put so much into him, and he has just given them nothing. And the sad part is, when he actually plays, he's a prolific scorer. Like, the numbers tell you that Zion Williamson can put the ball in the bucket, but that dude just can't stay healthy. So anyway, I say that because looking at these teams across the NBA, looking at Golden State losing last night, I think you're in a time where there's going to be this lull where a lot of the best teams are going to slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, they're preparing for the playoffs. I mean, you're at this point again, and I guess this is probably should have been brought up like 20 minutes ago when we were talking about the Jazz and the Suns, but that is the other thing that I kind of took away from last night. I really felt like, the Suns were, I mean, obviously trying to beat the Jazz. I mean, let's not, sugarcoat anything. They were trying to win the game, but I did feel like they were resting Book for a little bit longer than usual.
Yeah.
Like you were playing the bench guys a little bit more than usual. Like, they were doing some things that normally they wouldn't do.
And I think they miss Cameron Payne. I mean, they miss a legitimate ball handler off the bench. Because that's the other thing, and we're seeing this with Donovan Mitchell as well, that when you're Devin Booker and you got to bring the ball up, it's taxing.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. And that's why managing Mike Conley right now is really important. And I thought that the national broadcast made a really good point about this. Chris Paul was hurt in the playoffs last year. maybe this injury came at the right time because you're looking at 6 to 8 weeks. He'll be back 2 weeks before the playoffs start at that point.
NBA season is so long.
Yeah, and you're looking at a guy in Chris Paul who's 87 years old, but his legs are going to be fresh. His game does not require him to, shoot a ton of shots to get back in a rhythm. He plays in the mid-range. And you look at the way that Chris Paul has gone out on the season in the last 5, 6, 7 years when he left his groin on the floor in Houston, or last year when he's playing with 2 broken hands. That's not going to be the case this year.
Yeah.
So I wonder maybe if there's a silver lining in the Chris Paul injury. I don't know. We'll see. But that's what the Jazz are lacking. They're lacking that impact veteran who can. I mean, Chris Paul has turned Devin Booker into the best mid-range player in the NBA. Devin Booker is the best mid-range player in the NBA right now. And I think, to your point, Meyer and we, the Chicago Bulls, as many injuries as the Bulls have had, you're looking at a guy in DeMar DeRozan who's played in some really big minutes in this league.
Yeah, man.
Who's come in and raised the game of everybody else around him.
Yeah, I think you can make a case both ways for who's the best mid-range player in the game. I think DeMar
I think I love DeMar, don't get me wrong. Listen, I'm loving the renaissance of my Chicago Bulls. But the one thing that Devin Booker does better than anybody else is that he shoots the 3 well, so people have to respect that. And what I love about Chris Paul's impact on Devin Booker is Devin Booker now knows the 5 spots on the floor that are automatic. It doesn't matter if a guy, like we were talking about this yesterday, and I don't remember who it was. Somebody had a hand like right in his face. It doesn't matter. The ball's going in the hole.
Yeah.
He's got 5 legitimate spots on the floor. Now, DeMar, he needs to stick his ass into you at the elbow, and he's going to play free throw line extended. He's going to back you down and hit a turnaround. And he loves to play right around the free throw line. Devin Booker shows you repeatedly he can drop you down on the baseline. The other thing I wish DeMar DeRozan had a little bit more of, and I think Zach has it for the Bulls, is the ability to drive the baseline. I think one of the things in this league that is emerging is the importance of getting the basketball down on the baseline.
Yeah.
Because you're able to kick that into the paint. You're able to kick that to the corner. Or look at the pass that Donovan Mitchell made yesterday.
Yeah, both teams were making it. Yeah. It clearly was a focal point.
I mean, that is emerging because it's what the Suns have done. And so now, who's the first team that we saw really initiate that? Well, Klay Thompson came back, and what's Klay doing now? Driving the baseline. Because where does Klay Thompson play? In the corner. So it's that really important skill that DeMar DeRozan, to me, needs to be a little bit better at. I'd love to see DeMar setting up other guys because Devin Booker is elite at getting to the paint and either dropping that mid-range or kicking that ball to the corner.
Yeah.
And that's why I put him like a bit ahead of everybody else, because he doesn't necessarily use the mid-range to score all the time. And it's one of those, I know that everybody thinks, well, the mid-range game means he scores in the mid-range. But I'm telling you, it means you're multifaceted. When you are Chris Paul or you are Devin Booker, DeMar DeRozan to a certain extent, I think we're seeing Donovan Mitchell do this now, where you get in the paint and you kick that ball out. Like that 3 that I think it was got in the paint, kicked to Bogdanovich.
Yeah.
And Bogey hit the 3. That's the essence of what Donovan Mitchell is evolving to, is I'm getting in the paint not to try and dunk on guys. I'm getting in the paint to set up my teammates. And that's why they've won 8 of 9. That's why this team is becoming a better defensive team, because their offensive looks are better.
Yeah, they're making shots now.
Yeah, so that helps you defensively. But anyway, here nor there, I could go on and on about it. All I'm saying is I look at where this league is right now, and I look at the time in the date on the calendar. There's going to be a lull here. And I think that's why you're going to see some of the bottom teams, mid-table teams in the West specifically, are going to come up. Now in the East, they're so closely stacked that I think you're going to have change all season long. But I think when you look out West and you look at the Western Conference standings, and you see that, Dallas, Denver, and teams like the Jazz have the talent to get really hot. And you hear about Michael Porter Jr. now targeting April 1st as a return date. You know that they're going to get Jamal Murray back here probably in the next 10 days. Hey, by the way, Denver's about to get much better. Mm-hmm. And my questions about Dallas remain. I just don't see Luka Doncic as a guy that can carry a team to a championship.
Agreed.
And with all due respect to the prowess of Rudy as a defender, there's not a two guard in the league that should be shut down one-on-one with a center.
Facts.
There's just not. And Luka and that thumpa of his, he's just not a quick athletic player.
Come on, let's go, Schlep Rock.
Yeah, as hot as his mom is, Luka's not like an athletic player.
Mm-hmm.
None of that has anything to do with what I'm talking about. Hey, baby. Anyway, the point is, Luka's got to be better. I just don't view him as a championship caliber player. I don't want to misconstrue this talk on the Jazz as, hey, they're going to win a ring. No, they're not. Enjoy this. They've won 8 of 9. They're playing really well. They just beat 2 of the teams that they had to beat that are right around them.
Yeah.
Right? Memphis lost a game the other night on Friday, I think it was. The Jazz beat Dallas. You're within 3 of Memphis.
Yeah.
Right? Like 19-5 is possible. So we'll see. All right, let's get some of your comments in here. Good morning, Forrest G is first one in. Forrest. Daddy Gobert showing us who's boss in Dallas.
Daddy.
Hey, Daddy.
Wow.
Daddy.
No.
I won't.
No.
George Mitchell says hello from Georgia. Like Atlanta, Georgia, or like Georgia in the Balkans. The Blind Swordsman DS, is Georgia in the Balkans?
I don't know.
The Blind Swordsman DS, good morning to you. Morning, boys. Great win for the Jazz. I'm going to hold my breath, but this could bring momentum from here out. Sure. Greg Hawkins says, what's up, Monty Jake in chat? New movie taping starts tomorrow, so I may be away from the show for a week.
Guy.
I haven't coughed in a week. Can't wait for the show today, and welcome back to Salt Lake. Thanks, Greg. Congratulations on your new movie role. George Mitchell says Mitchell was phenomenal. He was. Darrell King says 20-4. Ooh. You're not just going to lose 4 the rest of the way. I think that's impossible. Rudy Sanchez says, morning, fellas. Welcome back to Utah.
Utah.
Forrest G says, what's up? What was Phoenix thinking? I'm confused why they did not call a timeout. Agreed. I'm confused why Jay's pass was so terrible.
In the 5th row?
It went into the stands.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we have another perimeter defender when Royce comes out of the game. I think we're better having Royce and House. Yeah, I think they play together. I would agree with that. But by the way, for all the people who say, oh, Quinn Snyder sucks.
He doesn't make adjustments.
What adjustments did he make? I don't get it. There you go. Why Quinn gave more minutes to Forrest than Butler? Well, Butler's out with an ankle injury right now, by the way. Butler is a better defender than Trent, and I don't think Jared can make passes and layup finishes. Well, I think Trent Forrest gives you in limited exposure, gives you an athletic dimension that you just don't have anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I say this about Daniel House as well. Daniel House is great in a small window. When you play him 30 minutes a game, the greatness goes away exponentially more.
Needs to come off the bench 10 minutes at a time. Get that pop.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. Butler is too delicate, and we need wins, Forrest G says. Hopefully we can develop him into future games. This team doesn't develop young guys, man. Like, I wish they did. But I worry about Jared Butler. I have a lot of concern for him. This has been – it's probably strong to say this is a lost season for Jared Butler. It is shocking that we're in March and
they're just not playing him.
He just doesn't get time.
Yeah.
He doesn't. JP Shanahan, good morning to you. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It was a great win, don't get me wrong, but they were playing without Chris Paul, if we're going to be fair. I understand why people are saying that. Several people said that. I understand why people are saying that. This is the Phoenix Suns team that was put in front of you. And then you almost lost the game.
Yeah, the Jazz should not be punished for... just as we said last year, the Clippers shouldn't be punished because, Mike and Don were hurt. I mean, the Jazz shouldn't be punished for Chris Paul being hurt.
Yeah. Av Lee says, hey, guys, great show as usual. Thanks. Giggity, where'd you go? Av Lee says, the last 2 games are worrying me very much. In both, we saw lots of hero game out of Mitchell, Clarkson, and Bogey. I don't know how you fix Jordan Clarkson.
It's hot and it's cold. It's the best at times and it's the worst at times, bro.
That air ball 3 yesterday was...
ugly. But then, He popped off at what do you have? 25, 23?
20
Something like that.
Yeah,
So-
but I just don't. I don't understand it. I want to understand what his. How can he? Dude, he cannot dribble into the paint without turning it over.
Yeah.
It's weird. He's got like Gobert-itis when he dribbles the ball into the paint.
Gobert-itis.
What? That's a real thing. And it's so frustrating. And he gives you, what do you have? 22, 10 of 17, 2 of 7 from 3, did not shoot a free throw. 5 rebounds, 3 dimes, 2 steals.
Yeah, man.
But the bigger problem for me in yesterday's game with the Suns is Bojan Bogdanovic is just not he's like not a thing. Like, he's not great. He's not terrible. He just ain't.
He doesn't get opportunities. That's the problem. He gets like 4 games.
1 of 5 from 3. 0 of 1 at the free throw line. 5 of 13.
Maybe he got
for
more
11
opportunities than I thought.
But how does he only have 2 rebounds? How does Buckets O'Neal?
Buckets O'Neal.
How does Royce O'Neal have 0 rebounds yesterday? Not 1, not 2, 0. He had none. Like these, when you're looking for the negative, which I'm not, but it just kind of crept up and stuff.
This case is empty.
There's some real things in that game
0.
that's like 0 rebounds for him. James Knight says, wait, I'm hearing encouragement for the Jazz. Wow. Oh, wait, here it comes. No.
As usual, James' contribution is always,
Limited. Avley says Donovan tries to make all these flashy passes that look good, but not really trying to find his teammates. Gobert needs to beg for the ball so many times under the basket. But again, I'm just asking you, when have you seen where you throw him the ball in the post, Rudy Gobert? Yesterday's a great example. He cannot dribble the basketball to a positive outcome. You just can't. They swipe at it. It gets turned over. He misses the easy layup because he's flustered off the dribble. Like, you don't want to toss him the ball in the post.
Yeah, it's not a good choice.
What you'd like to do is throw him lobs, which they did. What you'd like to do is, throw him that high heat at the rim that'll catch and go back up and dunk it.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the limit of his game.
Yeah.
You cannot ask him to dribble into the paint because he will turn it over. Go back and watch the tape. It ain't good. Hawkins says the Jazz do well when Hassan does well. It really shows. I agree with that.
Yeah, he's a different. He has big impact both ways. When he's having one of those nights where he doesn't seem engaged, it's a pretty negative outcome, right? He's a negative player by traditional plus minus stats. But when he does what he did yesterday, he can make a big impact. It's awesome. Yeah, exactly. So he definitely is one to watch.
What did you guys change? The set looks a little different. Other than we forgot.
Oh, I know what we changed. Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
There is a PS5 we're giving away. Make sure you hit subscribe. Wait, lower that. Lower.
Lowering. Okay, lowering.
Lower.
Okay,
Lower.
lowering.
There it is. Okay,
All
right there.
There we go. Yep.
PS5 we're giving away. Make sure you hit subscribe. If you are here, give us a thumbs up, please. It really helps the channel grow. When we get to 5,000 subs, we will give away that PS5. I can't say subs normally. It just is what it is. So shut up. When we get to 5,000, we'll give that Bad Mama Jamma away. Indeed. Yes, please do. Buy a damn shirt. You're a casual. $25. DM Jake. And DM Jake. SLC Supercars on Twitter. What?
What, you don't want the DMs from the people?
I don't. We need to streamline it. DM Jake, SLC Supercars.
Yeah.
On Twitter and Instagram. Derek Gray says, you guys are schmucks.
Cool.
House was in his head, but if Donnie doesn't score 14 in the playoffs, you would call it a bust.
House was in whose head?
Yeah, whose head was Daniel
Are
Housen?
you referring to Devin Booker? Because he wasn't in Devin Booker's head.
Yeah,
Devin Booker was in his head.
Devin Booker had like 4 threes in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, dude. Like, I don't know what you're looking at. By the way, how many possessions in a row did Devin Booker get a foul called on House because House was trying to pressure him?
Multiple.
Like, it's not like I don't. Yeah, cool. You can be the guy who calls us schmucks, but what's going to happen in a week is you're going to realize that we're right as usual. So we've seen this story before. when's the last time we got the do you guys even watch Jazz games guy coming into the comments?
Yeah. Jeremy Bolton says, hey, good morning, Jensen, everyone. Everyone. Good morning, JB. Brandon Whiteside says, Booker flopping and crying on every play.
Go.
Yeah, there you go.
Here we go.
Giggity says it was the Suns' third game in 4 days. They were definitely resting some guys a little bit more. And I think that's why you just can't worry about what Suns team is in front of you. They beat the Phoenix Suns. That's one of the best teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
And they did it being led by Donovan Mitchell. And they did it with him really being you can see he is asserting himself. He is standing up coaching when he's out of the game. He is huddling guys on the floor. Like you can see, and maybe all that's for show. I don't know. You can see Donovan Mitchell asserting his position.
Yeah.
And this is what we've been talking about. And again, you can tell me, I have sources. They don't know shit. Okay, well, what did we tell you?
Yeah, next question.
This is Don's team.
It is.
It is Donovan Mitchell's team. Everybody has told you that. And the locker room stress seems to have dissipated quite a bit from what I understand, because I think they've just come to a point where what do we have to lose? What do we have to lose? This team understands that they are good enough to beat anybody on any given night. I think they also are pretty realistic about the fact that they're not, like in a 7-game series, they're probably not beating the Suns team. In a 7-game series, they're probably not beating Memphis or Golden State. But that doesn't mean they should just not play the series then? Like, I mean, this is a good, not great basketball team.
As we've been saying for years.
I view the Suns as, without Chris Paul, they're the same team as the Jazz. They're good, they're not great. They have a superstar player in Don. They have a superstar player in Devin. But without the difference maker here, Chris Paul, 100%. I think the center position for these two teams, I think offensively, it's very clearly DeAndre Ayton. I mean, just absolutely dominating with the free throw line jumper yesterday. But can't defend your mom. Like, and this is what I've said in Giggity or all our Phoenix guys, I think you've probably heard me say this, that DeAndre Ayton is not good defensively.
Yeah.
He just isn't. He is not a willing participant in man-to-man defense. Like, you watch the way he defended Rudy Gobert, which is why I'm surprised that Rudy didn't have a 20-20 game, because, like, he just wasn't attached to Rudy, and he was letting Rudy run behind him, which is lob city. And now, granted, DeAndre did deflect the one lob, but I just think that these two teams are really equal without Chris Paul. Chris Paul's better than Mike Conley. I don't think anybody can argue to the contrary. But this Jazz team is capable of beating anybody.
Yeah.
You're just not going to do that in a 7-game series where athletes are going to make plays. So it is what it is. Brandon Whiteside says, Suns homers hope they lose in the first round.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. I don't get that. Whiteside steal and dunk from the throat of McGee last night was filthy sexy. I agree, Forrest. Like, but you see why JaVale has value to that team. Like, that's I will also point at JaVale McGee as the kind of role player this Jazz team doesn't have.
Yeah, it was fun to watch Whiteside and JaVale go back and forth. That was definitely fun.
I think you're looking at, man, if you can just make changes in the offseason, this Jazz team they just lack so many little things. Well, in athleticism, which is a big thing, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Tyler Hopkins, what's up? He says, the thing I saw was that Devin Booker can't carry the Suns all by himself if he's still a very good player who can score. Exactly right. He's not, and this is what we always say about Book. He's not your guy, Kevin Durant. He's not LeBron James. He's in that cut below. And this is the question about Steph Curry. Can Steph Curry on his own win you a championship? He hasn't yet.
Yeah.
And he probably can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was 3 of 10 last night in their loss to Dallas.
Yeah.
Like, but you put Dre on that team, you put Clay on that team, you put Wiggins, you put Peyton, you put
off the bench.
Iguodala off the bench.
Listen, Max Kellerman, chill out. Okay?
My point is, teams are only as good as their collective. Nobody in this league. Why do you think we saw super teams and now tandems? Why do you think James Harden wanted to get with Joel? Why do you think that, Harden, KD, and Kyrie wanted to play together? He's big boned.
Fat.
Why do you think they wanted to play together? Because you're a collective. You are only as good as your collective in this league.
Right.
The Jazz have one guy. They don't have a duo. They don't have a collective.
But
They have
Rudy.
one guy. Don't start. Don't. Cam Harrison says, good morning, guys. Great win by the Jazz. Shout out to Mo Bamba.
Shout out to Mo Bamba. I'm not really sure what that has to do with anything.
It's his
but-
favorite drop. Why do you hesitate on that drop now?
Shout out to Mo Bamba.
It's Mo Bamba.
Mo Bamba.
Shout out to Mo Bamba.
Nathan Jennings vlog says, I think Don just watches your guys' show and is now listening to you. I'm certain
think,
that's what
I'm guessing
Is there
that's
any
what
doubt?
It is, yeah.
Wait, I thought we all knew that.
Shout out to Mo Bamba.
Hello.
Duh.
Jesus Christ destroys big tech's Marxism loses.
Facts.
Okay. Marxism says, not true. No, I should call you Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, no. I don't know. JC, the big destroyer, says, not true. If Utah stays fully healthy, keyword, and they stay locked in on defense and urgency, they never have. They are more than capable of being Phoenix or anybody else. They are not. I would love to agree with that. The Utah Jazz are not beating, and this is just my opinion. I'm just some lame ass who.
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry. I'm a casual.
Right. You're
right?
casual.
I'm a casual. But my feeling is that the Jazz are a really good team.
Yeah.
They're not better than Phoenix. They're not better than Golden State. They're not better than Brooklyn. They're not better than Milwaukee, and they're not better than Philly in a 7-game series.
Mm-hmm.
I think those 5 teams for sure. Memphis is an interesting one. Memphis is just so damn athletic. Did anybody see Memphis that Friday night when they beat the Bulls? Did anybody see the Ja Morant finish? Who on the Jazz can do that? Where he drives into the lane and spins in a 360 and lays it up.
Yep. It's the John Wall move.
I'm telling you, yeah, the Jazz are a good, not a great team.
Yeah.
I think they're better than Dallas. I think they're better than the bottom tier teams in the West. Right now, they're better than the Clippers, Lakers, Kings.
Injuries are killing those teams, man.
But they're not better than Memphis, in my
Yeah.
opinion. They're not better than Golden State. They're not better than Phoenix. They're not better than Brooklyn. They're not better than Philly. They're not better
your
than
mom.
Milwaukee. Luka's mom is still the hottest. Like
Cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough.
Austin Lewis says, Rudy isn't actually a bad passer off the pick and roll. Just don't let him dribble. Exactly.
Yeah.
I actually think Rudy is an underrated passer because he is so flippin' tall. He can see around. He can see on top. The issue is that's not the Jazz game. He sets a pick. He doesn't get the ball in the pick and roll.
Right.
He doesn't. What you see is that little handoff that he and Conley do, and then he immediately hands it to Don. That's that design at the top of the key there,
Yeah.
especially at the free throw line. Rudy gets into no man's land between the rings in the paint. That's his no man's land. He cannot dribble there. He really can't operate there. Rudy needs to be really in the protected area to dominate. It's when Rudy Gobert gets the ball at the top of the key and you see the Suns like backing away from him because he hasn't shown that he can hit a jumper consistently. I think we all know he has one, but he doesn't use it. So right now he's just awkward. Like he doesn't have refined skill. Watching DeAndre Ayton hit those jump shots yesterday.
Again and again and again.
It's just it screams for what they need they just need that push shot like that JaVale and DeAndre Ayton have, like in the paint where it's a little push jumper. If Rudy had that, this team would win 60 games. I mean, if he was that kind of offensive performer, he's not. If he was, this is a completely different conversation. The $41 million goes away. That's not a problem because he's giving you 30, 35 points a game.
Yeah.
For a guy, think about it. He's arguably the best offensive rebounder in the NBA, Rudy Gobert, right? If he's giving you 10 offensive rebounds a game, right? Or if you can now throw him the ball, pick, roll, dish to him, hits a little jumper, I mean, he's scoring 30, 35 points a game.
That's every day.
He's an annual MVP candidate. And I'm not exaggerating. If he had just the ability to have a push shot or a little jumper, he's a completely different player.
Agreed.
This is a completely different team. But he doesn't. So they're not. I mean, if just being honest about it. Ashok Basak.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to ban you now.
Who the fuck are you?
Stupid. JC Destroys.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call him now. Jesus the Tech Destroyer says nothing guaranteed in a series, though. Seriously, watch and see. Yeah, I would agree. Listen. What did Herm Edwards say? You play to win the game.
I want you to listen to me.
You got to play the games, man.
Yeah, dude.
For sure. Nathan Johnson vlog says Rudy plays old school big man role. Truth. Chill in the paint, stick your hands up, catch and dunk. Rudy isn't a bad player, but today's game is too athletic for that kind of play in the playoffs.
Y'all feel me?
And what did we see? What did we see yesterday? We saw pick and roll to pull Rudy away from the basket.
Yep.
And then what happens? You get that baseline cut, the dish to Bridges for the layup in the and one. Because Rudy's not in the protected area. He's up at the free throw line defending Ayton.
Yep.
So it just creates...
Because Ayton was hitting the shot.
And the other guy, I thought yesterday, that made you look fantastic, your guy, Cam Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
But
he can shoot.
And again, but what's he do? He shoots threes from the
corner.
And then when he doesn't shoot the three, he drives down the
baseline.
And he's turned into a nice little passer.
He basically just runs corner to corner.
That's it.
When the set dictates it, he'll shoot off the wing.
Yeah. Jeremy Bolton says, shout out to Caruso cheering from the bench.
Stop disrespecting me, bro.
Jeremy Bolton. Stay on brand, my guy.
I love you, man. New Orleans surprised Phoenix by 15 points 3 nights ago. That was sweet. Well, and then they went to L.A. and beat the Lakers. Rudy actually has hit a few mid-range jumpers in some games. I've seen it. Yeah, like once a year. And then the three-pointer he takes is an air ball. It's not his game.
Okay. All right. It's been an hour.
Okay, does anybody care about the MLB strike? Okay, cool. Let's talk about Phil Mickelson losing. What? I covered baseball. Jake's like, hey, man. Hey, man. Can we talk some baseball?
We're on to Cincinnati.
Can we, baseball,
Yeah, we're focused on the Jets today.
Rawhide, big, long wood.
Long wood.
Can we talk baseball?
I've never taken steroids.
No, we can't. Wow. I'm a passionate baseball fan. Mm-hmm. This labor stoppage is just complete BS.
Labor stoppage.
Like, screw you, Rob Manfred. Screw you, sir.
Yeah.
And then there's Phil Mickelson.
Mm-hmm.
This has gone horribly sideways. Last we left you on Thursday, KPMG dumped his ass.
Yeah.
So let me tell you the story real quick. Phil Mickelson's a prick. Phil Mickelson gambles a lot. He sold his Gulfstream private jet several months ago, and people were like, Phil, bad day on the ponies?
Bad day on the ponies.
And then all of a sudden, Phil Mickelson lines up with the Saudis who are trying to set up this Saudi Super Golf League.
Yeah.
And Phil then decides to give an interview to Golf Magazine or whoever the flip it was with. And he's like, hey, yeah, I know they cut people's heads off, but I gamble a lot and the PGA Tour screws me out of money.
Okay, so that's how it's going to be.
So KPMG, Callaway Golf, Workday, Amstel, they're all like, hey, see you later, dude.
Keep it real.
No, Amstel and his sponsors kept it realer. They were like, nah, dude, we're out. And then American Express was like, we don't know that Phil should host the Palm Springs tournament that is branded the American Express. So the PGA was like, oh, yeah, hey, Phil, screw you. You're not going to host the Palm Springs event. And remember your charitable foundation that was the benefactor for the American Express tournament in Palm Springs?
Right.
Yeah, suck it. We're giving our money to somebody else. Phil Mickelson has crashed and burned.
Oh, man, dude.
Now, of course, Twitter, because we all know that Twitter's amazing.
Right.
This is cancel culture. 4 more years to stop the steal. And people are like, they're canceling Phil Mickelson.
I don't give a baker's fuck.
And I would just tell you that Well, they cut people's heads off in Saudi Arabia. That's why they canceled Phil Mickelson.
Twitter's been going crazy.
You know, not because he's, a good golfer. No, he is a good golfer, but he's also an asshole.
Yeah.
Who supports terrorism so that he can personally profit. Like, this is not cancel culture, bro. That's not what this is.
You're a douche, bro. That's what it
Man.
is. That's what it is.
Greg Hawkins says, honestly, it's pretty surprising he lost so many sponsors in such a quick succession like that. I haven't seen a sponsor exodus like this since Tiger's first scandal. I think it's even worse. Well, Tiger was pounding box with porn stars. No, I'm sorry. It wasn't always porn stars. It was waitresses at Perkins in his SUV out by the dumpster.
To what do I owe this pleasure?
Tiger Woods parked his SUV behind the Perkins restaurant. Behind the dumpster. And you want to talk about a closer? Tiger Woods was like, hey, baby, I got a tip for you. And she's like, oh, thanks. He's like, yeah, I haven't given it to you yet. Let's go out back. And she's like, okay, cool. They went in his SUV out back, had sex behind a dumpster at Perkins. And Nike's like, yeah, we need to evaluate our relationship.
My fucking ass.
But I just want to say, how much of a pimp is Tiger Woods?
Dude.
That he closed a Perkins waitress. She put the coffee cup down, and he's like, hey, baby. And she was like, oh, it's Tiger Woods. He loves me.
You have a deal.
Amazing.
Anyway, I don't condone.
Tiger, dude, golf has some of the biggest degenerates in sports.
No, but what golf has is, like, look at Dustin Johnson pulling Paulina Gretzky.
Yeah, but
Do you understand? What's that drop on TikTok? I get so much top tier poon because I've set my life up. Like, if you're Tiger Woods,
man,
you could have any woman in the world.
Cocaine and hookers, my friend.
Granted, you were married and you were cheating on your wife too, dirtbag. But you can have any woman in the world.
right.
And you choose to cheat on your wife with porn stars. I don't know why we're rehashing Tiger Woods. But anyway,
I will with your wife.
Yeah. Do you realize he found out his dad passed away while he was in bed with a hooker? Like, where did my life go?
I started having second thoughts.
Anyway. Dude. Giggity says, maybe My Pillow will sponsor Phil. My Pillow. Mike Lindell.
You have a deal.
This is what happens when multimillionaire athletes complain about their horrible working conditions.
That's every day.
Exactly. Fat Jesus is a great point. Phil, what's so wrong? I mean, you have a Gulfstream jet, and I missed the over on the Bears game. I need to sell. Like, if you're Phil Mickelson, and it's alleged that Phil Mickelson sold his Gulfstream private jet because he had gambling debts.
Do you think he spent too much time at Arlington Park?
Jake?
Yeah.
Why? I hate you so much. The Bears are amazing. Anyway, my point is, how far do you have to fall if you're Phil Mickelson?
Really
right
far,
now?
dude. Really far.
I don't know.
Nah, fine.
Does he ever?
Yeah, he will. He will.
I mean, do you show up at the Masters if you're Phil Mickelson? Do you show up and play at Augusta? I mean, they hate black people there, so like they're good at scandal.
Wow.
And women. You know. Remember Fuzzy Zeller being like, when Tiger Woods won the Masters? You want to talk about racism? Here's racism in golf. Fuzzy Zeller, the old golfer. Tiger Woods, who's black, Tiger Woods wins the Masters. And the winner of the Masters gets to determine the dinner for the next year. Like, what's on the menu. Fuzzy Zeller said something to the effect of, oh, I guess we're having fried chicken and watermelon next year.
Keep it real.
Wow.
Like, fucking A, man. Like,
dude.
Like, that's how racist the Masters is. Like, the culture.
Well, where is it? With all due respect.
It's in Augusta, Georgia. But do
With
you
all due
remember?
respect.
Do you remember like all the women protesting?
Yes.
And, you can't join. You're a woman.
Yes.
Like, dude.
Yes.
So the racism and the misogyny around the Masters.
Yeah.
They would welcome Phil Mickelson with open arms.
Yeah.
Hey, and I would love somebody to walk up to Phil and be like, "Hey, Phil, good to see you, buddy. By the way, did you know the Saudis cut people's heads off?"
Okay, fuck you.
Like.
Dude.
What do you? Okay, if you're a professional golfer,
Yeah.
and let's say you're like Brooks Koepka,
Right.
what's the Koepka Mickelson conversation like? Oh, Phil, really kind of not so good to see you, man. It's been not long enough.
Yeah.
Like, what do you know?
Do you know what that's like these days?
Hey, do you get free gas from the Saudis?
Yeah. Probably,
By
but
the
not
way,
for his Airstream.
$5.59 a gallon in
Dude.
California.
Dude.
I'm just saying. Jesus Christ destroys big tech Marxism loses. Says are giving golfers are giving new meaning to a hole in one. Hell, hell.
Bro. Dude.
Anyway,
Wow.
Fat Jesus says Phil is going to the Masters as a member of the gallery, and it's going to sell his autograph to fans. Probably. I mean,
Damn, he won't play the Masters?
I don't know, will he or will he
Ooh.
not? Like, I mean,
Well,
it's the
not
Masters.
up to him.
It is up to him. He has a lifetime exemption to the Masters. He can play every year until he's dead.
Dude.
Or the Saudis cut his head off. Any year he wants.
Yeah, him
That
and
was
Jamal
probably-
can hang out.
That's probably too far. Anyway, he can play any year he wants.
Yeah.
He's going to play golf again. He needs
For sure.
the money.
Yeah, he's going to play again.
Right?
It's just
Yeah.
a matter of,
Exhibit A as to why you don't gamble. Hey, Phil, you have it all. I lost on the horses. The 12th race, I bet $1 million.
Spinal.
Like, did he lose his Gulfstream jet at the craps table? I mean,
Probably.
like, that's the sad narrative around Phil Mickelson. So,
You've thrown our budget a little out of whack.
well, speaking of Trump, then there's the Russians. How about the crazy Donald Trump Russia story that came out? So you know that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin had a couple of meetings that were not recorded, and there are no transcripts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some of the, and I'm going to leave it at alleged, with all this Ukraine terrorist bullshit going on,
right.
some of the revelations about Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump's meetings are remarkable. So you know that Donald Trump was obsessed with getting a Nobel Peace Prize.
Mm-hmm.
He nominated himself and others nominated him multiple times. So him and Vladimir Putin have this summit and allegedly hatched a plan where the Russians would invade Ukraine. Donald Trump, as president of the United States, would intercede, broker peace. Putin would pull out of Ukraine. Trump would win the Nobel Peace Prize, and then Putin would go right back in and take Ukraine. Like, are you serious? Like,
but it didn't really work out because Donnie didn't win again.
yeah, Uncle Joe Biden, go Brandon.
You're a casual.
Kind of slid into his DMs and won the election.
Right.
But that's what we're talking about. And then, like, Vladimir Putin goes into Ukraine, and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Donald Trump are out defending him, Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
While the rest of the civilized world is crushing Vladimir Putin. What do you make of the whole Russia to Ukraine
I
thing?
just think I think it depends on what side of the conversation you're looking at. I mean, I think from a world, like ending the world with nukes, it's not great. I mean, you've got two world superpowers at play here. You've got a situation, if you're Joe Biden, you're the U.S. Like
Let's go, Brandon, please.
Yeah, it's a really, for lack of a better word, a sticky situation. How involved do you get? Do you go and show military force? Well, no, you don't. But I disagree with the people who are saying this isn't our problem. The problem.
Oh,
thing
it's
is,
a huge problem.
It's very much our problem because it's Russia. So what do you do? How do you handle it? I think from that side of the conversation, it's a very fluid situation, as they say. Now, if you're looking at it from the Ukrainians are kicking the shit out of the Russians, I love it. I love the fact that the Ukrainians are putting up a huge fight.
How about the Ukrainian people?
Yeah.
Not even the military. The people of Ukraine are so unified against Vladdy and the Russians that there is videotape of them in almost every neighborhood. Women in these Ukrainian cities have made thousands of Molotov cocktails.
Yeah.
They've united and they've collected the container in the way it was described on MSNBC yesterday was one house is collecting glass bottles. The other house is tearing cotton towels. The other house is getting gasoline. And they're coming together, uniting as a country. Who knew that countries still did that? Their citizens are uniting against their common, clear enemy.
It's amazing.
Listen, there's nothing good that's going to come out of Russia going to Ukraine. Nothing. Nothing. But man, is it not inspiring to see what those people are doing? The United States offered the Ukrainian president evacuation. And he said, I don't need a ride, bro. I need bullets. Like, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere. And he has got the big Russian bear on top of him right now. And they are fighting tooth and nail. You see these stories where farmers are, trying to derail tanks by cutting huge holes in the roads. You see these stories where the Russian military is trying to drop pontoon bridges over a river so that they can outflank the Ukrainians into a city. And the citizens are doing everything they can do to destroy that pontoon bridge and destroy their process. Like, it is so inspiring to me. And I don't know that we'll ever see this as Americans.
Well, I think the unique advantage living in the U.S. is you've got two oceans on each side.
Well, sure. Yeah. And you don't have a border enemy, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll ever see a time where we have foreign troops attacking our cities.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my question. If that happened, would we come together?
I think we would.
Or would we have "Don't Tread on Me" flags and Joe Biden bumper stickers on opposite sides?
Well, it's funny what happens when your livelihood is at risk, when your life is literally at risk.
I just think it's incredibly important that Russia lose in Ukraine. And I am not for, in any way, shape, or form, putting U.S. men and women on the ground in Ukraine. I'm just not. But when you hear that the European Union is rapidly processing membership for Ukraine so that all European countries can then help, when you hear that NATO is rapidly, expressing membership for Ukraine so that NATO forces and NATO assets can be deployed to Ukraine, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But you better understand what's on the line. And we don't talk a lot of politics. I know we have a lot of new listeners on this show today, and we love every one of you. And this is generally a sports show. But you better understand what's on the line in Ukraine. It is the avenue to success for both Russia and China. You better understand that the Russians want to put back the old Soviet Union. You better understand that China and Russia are in bed together on this. You better understand that if they lose Ukraine, what's he going to take next? And yeah, it's cool that we've seen his forces being, like, it's disgusting to me to turn on the news this morning and see drone footage of Russian soldiers being blown up by Ukrainian drones and people celebrating that across the world.
Yep.
Those are human beings that are dying on the ground.
Oh, well, they're fighting for the wrong side.
Yeah, I totally get that. I understand that the Russians are our enemy. But when you look at what's going on there, humanity's going to win. And I feel like this is a Batman skit or a script we're writing. Look at the people in Russia going to 6,000 people were arrested yesterday in Moscow.
Yeah.
6,000 people arrested at a protest. Were there 6,000 people total arrested in BLM rallies this year in this country? Like, it's incredible to me. They put their lives on the line.
Yeah, they knew they were going to get arrested.
Protesting against Vladimir Putin, who doesn't give a shit about you and will kill you. It's remarkable to me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
As is how bad Hot Pockets are for you.
Yeah, so was flipping around the interwebs today and found this
awesome.
Story titled "The Worst Frozen Foods for Abdominal Fat," according to dietitians.
Well, I don't have abdominal fat, so I don't know anything about this conversation.
Right. So number one on the list, real shocker here, is microwavable pockets, otherwise known as Hot Pockets.
Hey, by the way, what's your favorite food as a kid?
Have you ever had a Hot Pocket in your life?
Not since high school.
Yeah.
But man, I've had Tostino's pizza rolls
repeatedly.
By the thousands.
So good.
Right.
So good, dude. So that's number one.
Hot Pockets are terrible for you.
Yeah, number one. Number two is frozen pizza. Yeah, I haven't had frozen pizza in years, except yesterday. So that's number two. Number three is ice cream, for obvious reasons. Number 4, frozen noodle soup. Now, this one I was a little intrigued by. So what the article says, these are full of sodium, which can increase belly bloat, and noodles contain refined grains, which may increase belly fat.
See, now I'm in a unique situation when it comes to soup because my wife, who is a vegetarian, which pretty much means I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah, obviously.
My wife makes incredible soups. She makes like all kind of vegan vegetarian soups. Like her tortilla soup is amazing.
Tortilla?
I cannot imagine a time in my life. I do believe that my wife would kill me. Like literally stab me in the chest if I ever brought home frozen chicken noodle soup.
I'll drop that mother.
Like I think she would be like, I don't know who you are honey, I don't know who you are anymore.
Who the f*** is
Like
that guy?
I don't know what she would say to me if I brought home a container of frozen chicken noodle soup. I don't know what would Mrs. Monty say.
Why the hell would you bring that home?
Yeah, why would I? Like you don't even Mrs. Monty on the show, by the way. For all of you who clamored for the last 2 weeks for her, you don't even like buying soup at Costco in those containers.
Yeah, it's rare. Don't be bringing home no Campbell's soup in a can or chunky whatever.
But then again, on that list is your favorite food group, ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
You're a huge ice cream fan.
It's horrible.
It's terrible for you.
I know that.
What else is on that list?
Last thing on the list is called smoothie bases. So you can buy the base of a smoothie from the store.
Oh, right.
And they're saying that these are bad because they don't have real fruits. They have, sugars and gums and flavorings and additives, which add,
Oh, Chris Karn makes a great point. Chris Karn says Hot Pockets are filled with lava that will blister on contact.
Yes.
Oh my
Isn't that the worst part? But
burning your mouth.
That's even the problem with like Tostinos pizza roll. We don't say it regularly.
Tostinos.
Like we'll walk down the frozen aisle at Harmon's and be yelling like Tostinos, baby. Anyway, but Totinos or whatever the flip they are.
Where's the Italian?
Yeah, Hot Pockets or pizza rolls, dude. Like the
day.
sauce on pizza will just eviscerate the roof of your mouth.
Evisceration.
It will eviscerate the roof of your mouth. What's the worst bad food you like to eat? Mrs. Monty, your number one bad junk food. It's got to be ice cream for you.
Ugh.
Mine is probably chips. I love chips. I'm not so much a candy guy. I'm a
Costco
chip guy.
apple pie.
Oh, pies. I love dessert.
Yeah, see, I can just do without that. Like
Costco apple pie.
But you know what?
So
we went
good.
to Morton's in Anaheim the other night.
Mhm.
What were you gonna say?
Okay, I don't eat it. I haven't had it in a couple of years, in fact. But like a Blizzard from Dairy
Oh,
Queen.
yes.
Come on.
Yes. Yes.
Terrible. That is just
Keep it
diabetes.
real.
Yeah, keep it real.
frozen
Yeah.
cow
Not good.
just
Not
it's all
good.
wrong.
Insulin bearing greatness.
Not good.
We went to Morton's, the steakhouse
Right.
in Anaheim the other night. And I don't know that I'm disappointed.
What were you disappointed in? What the hell?
But like, okay, so it is official, and I want to make this announcement. I
Thank
want
you.
everybody to
And
know. Listen,
before you say this, I have been lobbying and waiting for this day
This
for
is-
probably 6 months.
this is a big moment in a young man's life.
It is.
And
It is.
You know, when
It is.
you have matriculated into adulthood and you have you've established your life and
I'm not prepared for whatever's going to happen right now.
Your masculinity, and you've shared with your family openly your feelings and who you truly are. I am a bum. But when you have told your family intimate thoughts about the fact that you will never eat at any steakhouse that is not a Mastro's Oceanfront,
Let's go!
it's a big moment in a fat ass's life. And because you come to realize that not all dessert menus are created equally. Lowry's I had 2 amazing pieces of red, bloody, dead animal on my plate in the
Right.
last 2 weeks.
Cow.
I was disappointed at Lowry's the prime rib. And I was disappointed the prime rib at Lowry's was amazing.
Phenomenal.
The appetizer, the dessert at Lowry's, a joke. Like a joke. I won't eat it. I don't think I'll ever eat at Lowry's a prime rib again.
They failed.
I'm 49 and I can't see, because I'm hoping to live to like 137. I cannot see in the next 90 years that I would eat at Lowry's again.
Okay, quick story because we're running out of time. But what do you remember Lowry's being?
I remember Lowry's being an incredible experience where you are served like a king, where they bring bloody dead animals to your table, where they bring amazing soups and appetizers. Now, the bread at Lowry's was phenomenal.
Unreal.
But we got to the dessert round, and I was expecting to have their amazing pie.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the coconut crusted banana cream pie. That used to be like super secret. You couldn't get the recipe.
I mean, like, it causes blood flow to the lower extremities.
Right.
I mean, it causes throbbing in your varicose
What's an
veins.
erection?
Right? No, they don't have it on the menu anymore.
Wow.
Okay, you're out. So I go to Morton's. And
okay, so what were you expecting out of Morton's?
I had rented a private room at Morton's. We had all the gold accoutrements.
Cutlery.
We spent 2 G's at Morton's.
10 people.
I had an
13
amazing experience in mind. The steak was not as good as Mastro's. I'm a New York strip guy, off the bone.
Right, yep.
It was not as good as Mastro's steak. Now, the wedge salad, amazing.
Phenomenal.
I am not scallops. I am not a big seafood eater. The scallops were amazing at Morton's. The drinks sucked. I can just outright say they were average at best. And the desserts were just not very good. Like, the bread pudding was the highlight, but the creme brulee was a little undercooked, frankly. Somebody at our table also had the chocolate lava cake. It was not good at all. It was not. And they say it's their world famous cake. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not good.
Yeah.
And the bread pudding, I don't know. And maybe I'm being too.
I didn't have it.
The bread pudding was awesome.
Yeah.
Like the bread pudding. But let me just say, none of it was on the level of the dessert at.
The total package, dude.
The dessert at Mastro's, the cake that is at Mastro's, is incredible. It's incredible. You can't get over it. It's over. And the total package for 2 G's at Morton's was disappointing. It was disappointing. It just was what it was. By the way, awkward moment with Mama's new boyfriend.
Yeah.
So Dennis the Menace, as I affectionately call him.
Dude, that's the first time you've rolled that out in front of me, and that is incredible.
Mrs. Monty is unhappy.
I would. That's probably not an appropriate nickname to be using consistently, but that is funny. It's funny.
No. Having said that, for those of you who haven't watched the show in the past,
right?
Dennis is my mother-in-law's new fiance. They are getting married already.
They texted
in April.
Right.
Fast forward, we went to LA for 2 weeks to really kind of vet this guy out and make sure he wasn't a dirtbag swindler. He's probably not. So we had him over to the house for dinner one night. We had a good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to Lowry's, or fast forward to Morton's the other night.
Mm-hmm.
So I told you Thursday we walked into his house and there was a bowl of,
shell casings.
Shell casings on the table. Like there was.
Yeah.
Like a rifle shell casing.
Right.
Which I found a little offensive to me, but whatever. And so I did a toast at Morton's.
Mm-hmm.
And it really was not a joking toast. I said, I just want to, this is the first time in 2 years our whole family's getting together.
Right.
I'm glad we're all here. I'm glad we're all healthy. And I think about the people who could not be here or who are not here. And I said to Dennis, hey, man, I'm glad you're here, even though you had a bowl of shell casings on your coffee table.
Mm-hmm.
But, welcome to our group. And we put his name, like Morton's puts names on the menu for your birthday. It was his birthday. We put his name on the menu. Like, we've gone out of our way to make this guy feel welcome.
Right.
So 10 minutes later, he stands up and does another toast. And
Keep
he just,
it real.
Yeah. Homeboy comes for it. He's like, oh, yeah, dude, Tim grilled me and I've lived 80 years and he lived 40 years and doesn't know a thing about nothing.
And it's none of his business about my relationship.
He grilled me on my intentions and I'm like, okay. So then he sits down and like 30 seconds later spills a Diet Coke all over the table. The drop is undefeated. I felt bad for him, but he was clearly affected by this because Mrs. Monty surprised me. She rented a party bus. so that we could all get liquored up and get thrown out of the church and all that good stuff.
Right.
So we get on the party bus, we drive to Morton's, we get on the party bus, we drive home. We get back to the crib, and Dennis gets off the bus, gets into his car, and drives away.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Apparently, he's on to Cincinnati. Because the motherfucker didn't even say goodbye.
Nope.
He didn't shake anybody's hands.
Nope.
He got
We'll
off the
see you
bus,
later.
got in the Camry. By the way, he's got a Camry TRD. Tells you all you need to know about homie.
We're really focused on Philadelphia right now.
Gets in the car, and literally drives down the street, turns around, comes back, picks up the old lady, and then he gone.
We'll see you later.
Never saw him again. And it's like, okay, cool, bro. Cool story. This is just going to be awkward. Now they're getting married in April. And I'm going to do it right. I'm probably going to spend $100 on a cigar for him. I was looking at it last night. I know the cigar I'm going to get him for a wedding gift. And I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be happy for him. I'm going to shake his hand, like, hey, for better or for worse, my mother-in-law, I love my mother-in-law. She treats me well. She's the only mother I know. Like, the lady has been gold for me. This guy's a dick.
Yeah.
This guy, the problem is he stood up in dinner as if he had been a part of the family for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
We don't know you that well. We're trying to get to know you.
Yeah.
But at what point do you have a position to stand up and make a statement when you've been here all of 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And now, and Mrs. Monty
I
is
would've been happy.
quite regularly not on my side on most things, which is to say, you hold me accountable.
Yeah.
Was anything that I said or did with Dennis at all inappropriate or rude?
You probably didn't need to say the, bucket of bullets on the coffee table, right? But it just, he needs to, give it a minute.
So you better check
And he's
yourself.
just not.
He's not. That's not who he is. Dude's 80 years old. He's a veteran. He, in my opinion, with all due respect, is kind of a know-it-all, but, that's just not who he is. I wasn't surprised at all that he did that.
So Rodney says it's your job to treat him well. The fact that you offended him, which you clearly did, says that you were in the wrong. I don't think there's anything I did that should have offended him.
No.
There's nothing I said or did.
Dude, he's get off my lawn guy. And listen, Rodney's not, Rodney, you're not 100% off base with that comment, but you got to understand, this is like get off my lawn guy. This is like takes things personally pretty quickly.
And we went to his house on Wednesday night. We went to their favorite Italian restaurant, Dennis and my mother-in-law. And admittedly, he paid for dinner. I shook his hand and I said, "Hey, man, I really appreciate you paying for dinner. Thanks."
It was nice.
And
it's not like you've treated him poorly.
It was a great Italian dinner. It was good.
Authentic.
Yeah. Anyway, did you really bring up the bullets during the toast?
Yes.
I jokingly said, and Dennis, even though you have a bucket of bullets, shell casing.
Cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough.
Because again, Dennis is the kind of guy who would say, it's not bullets, they're shell casings. What do you know? And so I said, you had a bowl of shell casings on your coffee table, which, hey.
For him, I'm sure it is a piece of pride because I'm sure that every single one of those shell casings came from an animal that he killed.
This is fucking America.
That's probably
And
what it
yeah,
is.
it is
no
America.
No one asked, right? What the hell do you have a big plate of, 40 caliber bullets on your
I will also say,
table?
I don't feel like he's very approachable either. That would be the other thing I would say.
And he is an older guy he is 80 years old, legit.
Yeah.
He wears Velcro strap sandals and dress socks like he's that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't wear that at Morton's, though. He had nice shoes.
Hey, cool. But that's he's just a crusty old dude, right?
Yeah.
He is a Trump Republican. He is a trophy hunter who wants to kill a rhinoceros. He has said that. He's just not my cup of tea. So, by the way, Greg Hawkins, yes, I did say that. Fat Jesus said, did Dennis curse the uppity Ukrainians at dinner? No, but I'm sure he was thinking it. Marcus wants to know, how important is your mother-in-law? Because if she's at all valuable, you probably need to figure it out. Well, but I think I've had really honest conversations with my mother-in-law.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to figure something out.
Yeah, but I haven't been disrespectful to this guy. Don't get this wrong.
Yeah, you haven't been disrespectful to him. I do think that, Listen, the way he
Greg
takes
says I'll definitely be wearing Velcro when I'm 80.
Yeah, I mean, the way he takes it is his prerogative. I mean, if he's offended, he's offended, I guess. I don't know. But, I mean, I agree it's probably not worth your time. But I'm not going to sit here and say that you did something that was way out of line.
No.
I don't think you did.
And I will. And by the way, we're all going to Hawaii together in August. Like, I've got time to spend around this, if he still lives. I mean, if he ain't dead from old
and that's
age.
the funny thing, and we really have to go. It's 8 o'clock now. But
oh, wow, yeah.
But the last thing I'll say, what's really funny about the whole thing is his age is kind of a running joke after he was introduced to the family the first time, and some comments were made by good old Grandma.
By my mother-in-law, who said, well, when he dies, I'll just move back in here. Like, not kidding. She was laughing through not kidding.
Yeah.
He ain't young.
Yeah, but she makes this assumption that he's going to be dead in like a couple of years.
He ain't.
And it's like,
no.
No.
He's that guy that
I
lives
don't
to
see
100.
that.
He's
don't
the
see
guy.
that.
Real.
Yeah, keep it real. He that dude that lives to 100 because he just does it to spite you. He will not
Yes.
die early because he thinks that would make me happy.
Yes. Yes.
Prick. Anyway, he's not. Well, he is, but he's
So to be continued.
to be continued.
Yes.
Mrs. Monty, good to hear from you again.
Well, thanks.
Appreciate you being here. Appreciate all of you being here. Please hit the like button. Give us a subscribe. Really helps the channel grow. A lot of new listeners today. Thank you so much. No, I'm not going to answer that comment. I'm not going to answer that comment. Much more on the Jazz tomorrow. Until then, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.